Gareth, you've named a 33-man squad instead of 26. What was the thinking behind that?
Hi, Carve. Really, I think our situation is more complicated than any other country at the moment. We've known for a little while that we've got, of this 33, 12 players still to play in the European finals this week. So we were always going to need some additional players for the first part of our camp. Add into that, we've got some injuries that are at various stages. A couple we have very little information about at the moment, and a couple who are back into training or back into matches in Jordan and Jack Grealish, but still not in training consistently, not training with the team in Jordan's case. So we felt that more time is going to help us to make better decisions. And I've always said my preference would be to name the squad as a clean 26. We were able to do that ahead of Russia. We had standby players that knew their role, and I think that's always a preferable situation. But we've not got an ideal hand of cards this time, and there are a lot of unknowns, and I think information and evidence is really important when you're making decisions, and we'll have a lot more in the next 7 days, and we'll be able to make the best possible decisions that we can.
You've got 4 right backs in the squad at the moment. There's been a lot of debate about which right back could miss out. Trent Alexander-Arnold wasn't in your last squad. He is in this one. Has he done enough to be in the final 26?
Well, I could easily get drawn into talking about any number of individuals that might be in the 26, and then I'm going to get myself in a mess. So what I would say is you're looking at 4 right backs, and I know people feel I have an obsession with right backs. I just see 4 good footballers. Trippier can play right back or left back. Trent can play right back, wing back. I think he can play in midfield. In the last few days, I've seen Reece James play right of a 3 at wing back in the middle of midfield. We're going to a tournament, and those sorts of flexible players that can fulfil different roles but are good footballers are going to be hugely important to us. So we really don't know how the next few weeks are going to play out in terms of availability, injuries, what our best systems will be with the people we've got available. We've got too many question marks as I sit here today, but that will all become far clearer. We know what we'd like to do, and we've got good contingencies in place. With this squad, we've got a nice balance of some young players who, if they're with us for 1 week or for 5 weeks, it's going to be a brilliant experience for them. And we wanted to see some young players in this group as well. But also, of course, we're building towards a hugely exciting summer, and we've got to create a team that can win. So we're trying to balance all of those decisions.
Ben Godfrey and Ben White are in the squad for the first time. Is that a risk? What were you thinking behind their inclusion? And have you told that there is a good chance that they won't be in the final 26?
Well, again, the private conversations I've had with players, I'm not going to go into too much, but I think they're both exciting young defenders. There are others that we've also been looking at who we really like. Ezri Konsa has had a good season at Aston Villa. Fikayo's done well at Milan. So these two are very flexible. They can play in different roles as well. They can play left, right, midfield in Ben White's case. And this is a great opportunity for us to get to know them a bit better, for them to work with the team. I think it's works for everybody. So there's no way of knowing how long they'll be with us at this stage, but it should be a fantastic experience for all of them.
How difficult was it for you to leave out Eric Dier? He's a player who's always been very close to you. You've made England captain. in the past. He was part of your leadership group. He scored that penalty against Colombia at the World Cup. Must have been really, really difficult to tell him that he was not going to be in the squad.
Yes, definitely. He is a man who I have tremendous respect for, and he has been, as you've rightly identified, a key player in some of our biggest nights, some of our biggest moments. And unfortunately, I just don't think his season's been strong enough to be in the squad. And that's a difficult call, because you know how much, or I know how much he brings to the whole group. And when you're away at a tournament, those team players, those people that put the team first, are critical. So that wasn't an easy conversation. But he's an outstanding professional, and he took the news in a really professional way.
I just want to ask you about one of his teammates, Harry Kane. Obviously, looks like he wants to leave Spurs this summer. How much of a danger is it that will become a distraction for you this summer, especially the fact that he is your captain? For instance, when he joins up with you at the weekend, he have to just park that one side. You say, look, with the England cap, there can be no talks with agents. There can't be medicals for moves while you're here. You have to be 100% focused on England. Is that a conversation that you had with him, or a conversation that you need to have with him?
Well, I don't ever need to have a conversation with Harry Kane regarding focus or professionalism. He has got one goal this summer whilst with us, and that's to win a European Championship. And I know how important that is for him at this moment in time. What's going on at his club is a matter for him and Tottenham. He's obviously made some statements in the last few days, so in many respects that's out of the way now. And I don't think I'm talking across the board here. I think it's very unlikely that transfer deals will be done while we're away. I think that's different when we have our camps in September. Very often we're on that deadline moment, and every now and then we've had to help facilitate a medical or a meeting between a player and a manager. I'm very realistic about those things. We're not going to stop phones ringing. We can't control conversations that are going on in private. But I wouldn't expect, I think most deals are done at the end of tournaments, or they're done in the first week after the end of the season. And I would expect anything across the board with our players to be after the tournament.
Regarding Harry Maguire, a couple of weeks ago, Gary Neville said that he is the most important player in your squad. He's the one player that you can't do without. How concerned are you about his injury situation at the moment? And do you have any information regarding whether he will be fit to play for England this summer?
No, I mean, understandably, from a club perspective, they've got a huge final tomorrow, and that hasn't been so easy for us to get information. And I totally understand that. So we will know more in the next couple of days, really. And that's, again, another reason why that sort of lack of information. Calvin Phillips was an injury, 93rd minute on Sunday. We'll know more about that in the next few days as to its severity and possible timelines. So these are the things that the realities we have had to cope with in the last few days, and it's why we just felt that more time would help us.
Just two quick questions for me to finish off, Gareth. The first one regarding Mason Greenwood. This is the first time he's been in one of the squads since what happened in Iceland. Is that all forgotten now? And what can he bring to this England squad? There's been a lot of talk recently about the fact that apart from Harry Kane, he is probably the best finisher in the Premier League. He's English.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the past, that is absolutely the past. I spoke with Mason before we selected him with the under-21s in March to make that very clear. So, I hope that his inclusion on this provisional list shows that, we're happy to select him. We think young people make mistakes. We move on from it. It was the same with Phil. He is an absolutely outstanding finisher. There's no question about that. He's another very young player. I think we've got around 18 players with less than 10 caps on this list. So a lot of inexperienced international players, and his all-round game is still coming together. But he's clearly got an exceptional talent for finishing, and that's why we picked him back in September.
And the one from me, Alan Russell, your attacking coach, has left. Are you going to be replacing him for this tournament? Yes,
we won't have a like-for-like replacement in that sort of specific area of work, but I'm disappointed for Alan and for us that situation has occurred. But we're really pleased to be able to bring Graeme Jones in, who is obviously working with Newcastle at the moment. I've known Graeme quite a while. He's got fantastic experiences of tournament football with Belgium, of course, with Roberto Martinez. Great experiences as an assistant manager and as a manager. So I'm really pleased that with Steve Holland, with Graeme, with Martin Margetson, who's been to semi-finals with us and with Wales, and with Chris Powell, that we've got a really strong coaching team. And we're really looking forward to that challenge.
Before we progress, I am aware that some of you are picking up on connection issues. Just for clarity, we will circulate the full clean recording from this end to all, just to avoid any doubt, but we will persevere. Next, we've Carrie Brown from beIN Sports. Carrie, are you there?
Hello.
Yep.
Sorry.
We've got you.
Hello, Gareth. I think a lot of Leicester fans will be asking why James Maddison, in terms of pedigree, what he's achieved in his career so far, isn't in the squad. Could you explain your decision-making process there?
Yeah, look, it's an area of the pitch where we've got unbelievable competition for places, and we just feel that there are players there that are ahead of James in those areas of the pitch. He's had a season that's unfortunately for him been disrupted by injury, and in more recent weeks he hasn't necessarily always been starting as well. It's been quite interesting. He hasn't been taking set plays. I've noticed Tielemans has been taking their set plays, which I don't know if there's more involved in that, but in most simple terms, we feel we've got players in those areas of the pitch that at the moment we see them as just ahead of James.
Saw the immediate impact Gillingham had coming into the squad, almost solidifying himself in one match. Ben White coming in, the versatile player too. How much will you be assessing how well these players fit into the camp and fit into the chemistry of the side when you choose your final squad?
Yes, there's all sorts of things to consider. We're going to be away for a long period of time, and we're going to have 26 players for 23 places on a lot of match days. So it's a real test for the whole group on putting the team first, putting England first, recognising everybody will have their moment of a special moment that happens to them, maybe being the headline for a particular game, and those things always go in cycles. But we'll succeed as a collective, and right from the first day we report, that's part of the journey. When we reported ahead of Russia, we've got great photographic memories, books that we've got from day one right the way through, and some of those prep camps were really important to building the team spirit, for going through the detail of how we played. There were contributions that time from Adam Lallana, Jake Livermore, Tom Heaton, Lewis Cook. They were all training with us as standby players, and they played a massive part in that journey. So we never forget that. We've got to make sure that those contributions are valued. There's obviously still some difficult conversations for us to have, but those first 10 days of the camp with the 2 friendlies are a critical part of our preparation.
Thank you, Gareth. Jack Pitbrook.
Hi, Gareth. When are you expecting to get the players who are playing in the European finals back into your squad?
Yeah, we'll give them a period of rest after their finals, similar to what we've done with the players that finished on the last day of the Premier League. Again, that's exactly how we approached it ahead of Russia. We had Jordan Henderson and Trent came in late for that. We think that time, when we've talked with the players about their experiences of the past, to have a break with their families, they felt was their preference to going away perhaps somewhere with the team. And we think that is invaluable time, given our aim is to be here for 9 games, including the friendlies. And that's going to be a period of time where probably towards the, from the start of the tournament onwards, there's a fair chance we won't be able to see families. So we want to get that first part right and get everybody psychologically fresh. So it does affect who we can play in those first 2 friendlies, and we've also got to make sure physically we give the players the right load. We can't overplay the players we've got in those friendlies, and we've also got players that might only be read together. But yeah, those players will report later.